Wow. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the stream, guys. Today we got deck tech. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a good day today. Hopefully you haven't been as busy as me. I had a rough day. Rough day in the sense of like I had to see the dentist. That's the kind of rough day I had. It's just I hate medical stuff. Whoa, that's loud. My goodness, my dude, you are blasting my ears off. Whoa, give me a second here. Oh no, I don't know. Where's this song? Give me a second. Oh no, it's not so bad anymore. 1 minute, please. I just have to go through the 6,000 songs in this, and then yeah, I can deal with that. Sorry, it's probably not that loud for you, but I switched out my headset. So instead of having like big old headphones that was giving me like adult acne, I got earbuds because it doesn't give me adult acne. Fun things about getting old, isn't it? Having overly sensitive skin for no apparent reason. It feels like, at least. Anywho, we're not gonna talk about that. In fact, we're gonna talk about One Piece. As you can tell, I have a whole new deck to actually show you, which is shocking because I don't make decks. Well, I don't make a lot of physical decks, especially for One Piece. But if you remember last week, we were doing like a deck building stream, and that was based off of Z. Obviously, this is not Z, this is Garp, but this was one of the 2 leaders I wanted to build for Black. And out of price reasons, you know, it was a lot cheaper to build Garp because the few red cards, and I had a handful of black cards that are already in this deck, and I had the very few red cards in this deck I did have. So instead of buying 50 cards, I only had to buy like 30 cards, which made the deck a lot cheaper. And then obviously having the default version of Garp, the normal art of Garp, which is I mean, I'm not crazy about, but you know what? They didn't have the alt. I didn't have the money to buy the alt. So they gave me this for free. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, sure, yeah, give me the penny card. Why not? Give me the penny card for free, not the 4 Borsalinos I had to buy. Ugh. Anyway, that was a pain in the butt. But yeah, anywho, there's a deck box we're using, the ultimate guard. Might be easier to, yeah, it's just the ultimate. I think it's the ultimate guard. What is it, 60 plus, 80 plus, one of the 2 numbers. It fits One Piece decks really well. However, because it's a black deck, I have learned that I'm probably gonna need dice, or a dice, so I might get a different deck box for it. And then the Dons, here are the Dons. They're just in clear sleeves, nothing special. But yeah, this is the first black deck I made. Very cool story. Well, funny story. Based off the last stream we were building, well, last One Piece stream, we were building a Z deck. And at the end of the stream, I had put together a Z deck that I was happy with, that I enjoyed playing. However, it didn't run super well, so I went on to the VV Theories Discord server. I threw it into the deck building area where people can kind of theory craft decks. And I was like, here's the Z deck I made. I like it. I don't know, you know, I don't know what people are thinking about it. And lucky enough, I was, you know, VV was able to saw the list. He was like, hey, you know, how's the deck doing? You know, did you get any wins? I'm like, no, I didn't get wins, but I do like the deck. It feels pretty good the way I have it built. He's like, all right, let me give it a shot. And he made a deck that went 5-0 on the simulator and then made a video on it. And I was so thrilled. I was over the moon when I saw that video. I was like, holy cow. VV, the VV Theory made a deck tech. You know, obviously it's not, I'm trying to think, like, I can't take full credit obviously because I didn't build the deck. He made a completely different deck, and in fact, this Garp list is based off of the VV Theories deck list for the Z deck. But the Z deck that he made like 3 different Z decks. The one I liked the most was the Navy one he built, and obviously instead of running the purple cards he had in there, I had a few red cards laying around that I think worked pretty well with this Garp list. So I was ecstatic because I'm like, wow. If anything, I was like, well, I was the single die that tripped over for him to make this video. I'm like, that's so cool. Granted, he's made videos about Z in the past, so I don't think it took a lot of nudging, or it didn't take a whole lot to to convince him to maybe do something for it. But I'm glad. I was really ecstatic. I was so happy. I was like, wow, you know, famous One Piece YouTuber not only acknowledged the deck I made, but then went ahead, tested it, made a better version, and then made a video on that better version. So I'm excited. That's why I really like this deck. After he made that video, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm so happy. I'm like so thrilled. I wanted to make the deck physical. And instead of it being Z, I chose Garp just because, like I said earlier, I had the majority of the cards. I had like 20 cards for the Garp deck laying around. The goals, well, I'll tell you what the goal is right now. The goal right now is to probably get a proxy of Garp printed. I want to see if I can contact what was his name? It's not Meavy. Mims, the guy who did my Dawn, the guy who did the Dawn and the Rosinante alt I have. I want to see if I can contact him and maybe ask him how much it would cost to do a Garp alt. That'd be really nice because I really like his art style. I think he does a really great job interpreting the One Piece characters in a very fun and lighthearted way, which is what I like about One Piece. But I might contact him for that, or I might just buy the alt. I'll probably do both. But no, I think I'll probably contact him and see if he'd be willing to do like a commission job for an alt for Garp, and I can print it out, or he can print it out, however he wants to do it. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, that's enough waffling. I feel like it's been like a good like 5+ minutes of waffling about the deck without even looking at it. This is like, these are the sleeves from the VV deck I'm just using, or like from the Nefertari VV, One Piece VV. This is the clear sleeves, the Dragon Shield clear sleeves. I really like these. They're obviously double sleeved. So the leader, let me actually I don't even think this deck is organized. Oh cow, that's right. I've been testing the deck for a while. I should have been organizing. You know, that's fine, whatever. It is what it is. I'm just gonna like loosely put this together. No rhyme, no reason. I'm just gonna grab cards and put them where I think they belong. And then we'll get there when we get there. Anywho, oh no. This is the second time I've done this to myself where I want to look at a list and then the list is like unorganized. I haven't even bothered putting it together. I just start the stream and I run with it. I don't even bother checking the deck. That's okay. I think it happens to the best of us. I should have been a little bit more prepared, but you know what? It's fine. If you're watching this video, if you're watching the VOD, please skip like 5 minutes until I'm done. For those watching live, if you're there, you're stuck with me. So yeah, it's okay. You're not gonna hurt my feelings if you skip like 2 or 3 minutes ahead of time. The deck tech will eventually start again. I just have to kind of like loosely organize the deck to like vaguely what I like to see. For me, I normally like to see like going from 1 all the way up to 10 if I have 10 drops. This deck, spoilers, doesn't have any 10 drops, which is very sad because originally Garp, a lot of decks I see with Garp are running the 10 drop Kuzan. Or no, that's the Z deck. The Z deck is the one that runs the 10 drop Kuzans. This was based on the Z deck, but I believe Garp probably would be pretty happy to run the 10 cost as well. Garp is like is a little bit of a different animal altogether. Like Garp is doing something completely different to what Z is doing. Z is actively KOing characters, where Garp is like aggressively cost reducing characters, which I believe in the current meta, from what we're seeing right now, actively like aggressively reducing cost in black seems to be like the preferred method. So I think going with Garp was not a terrible idea. And I'll read Garp in a second, and I'll explain to you what I mean by, you know, aggressively discounting or aggressively Dawn minusing or cost minusing. I'm new to black, if you haven't guessed. That's the whole reason why we did the last stream, the deck building stream. The last deck building stream was mostly for me to learn how to play black. If I wanted to get into black, obviously I got into black because I went ahead and bought the deck. I'm glad it didn't cost me as much as it did, because like I think I got into black at the perfect time when Sakazuki just got banned. So black is, and currently black is in a power vacuum, and a lot of people are dumping their black cards, and obviously they're dumping their blue card because Sakazuki's out of the format. So people are getting very butthurt, and they're They're just dropping. Some people are just dropping the game altogether, and I can understand why. You know, your favorite leader got banned. That's probably the worst feels bad moment you could possibly have in a card game, is when your favorite character gets banned or your favorite deck gets banned. It can be frustrating. I think that happened with a couple of it happened with some Whitebeard players. A couple of Whitebeard players, I believe, dropped the game completely when their leader got banned because they couldn't play the game how they wanted to play anymore. I think I've talked about it in the past about my feelings towards the bans. I don't like when leaders get banned. I think sometimes it's necessary, obviously, for the health of the meta. You have to ban leaders or cards in general. Some cards need to get banned, some leaders need to get banned. It's for the health of the meta. Obviously, the Bandai as a company doesn't want to ban anything. They want everything to be power crept and everything to be good, and they want you to buy every card they release regardless of what it does. In an ideal world, that's what they want, but thankfully, because of game rules and stuff like that, there needs to be regulations, and things like that happen. Unfortunately, you know, Sakazuki ended up on the wrong end of the stick there. I didn't think Sakazuki as a leader was the worst. I think things like Houndblaze. Honestly, I seriously thought Houndblaze was gonna get the ban. I never thought in 100 years Sakazuki was gonna get the ban. But you know, that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled. There must have been a reason. They must have saw something. Because I know a lot of, like, honestly, truthfully, a lot of the bans are based off the Japanese meta. Because the Japanese meta is like a set or two ahead of us, about a set ahead of us. So the developers get to see what the Japanese players are playing, and then based off what they're doing, they can figure out whether or not they want the bans, what bans they want, and how they want to handle the bans. I'm almost done here. We're almost ready to rock and roll. Just getting a couple of cards in order. Let's see. Making sure everyone's here. Yeah, you're there. Oh, that's where you went. Okay, you're good. You're probably getting a small preview of the deck just by me messing with the list. Some of the cards are not going to be a surprise, I'm pretty sure. It's a black navy deck, essentially, and you know, most black decks, one of the reasons why I didn't like black for the longest time was because it was a glorified navy deck. It was all black decks were just navy decks, and that really turned me off from the meta for a very long time. I really didn't want to play black, or it turned me off from the color because I felt like the color was nothing but navy, and I was like, well, you know, there's all these cool leaders, but they all get stuck with the navy type. You know, they all get stuck with the navy leaders, and that annoyed me. So I never touched black because of it. However, I wanted to get into black at some point. I wanted to play a black deck, and you know, right now is a good time because cards are getting cheaper, reprints are being announced, and it's the perfect storm to start getting into black and getting into a new color. All right, there we go. Cards are organized. I'm sorry for wasting your time. You can come back, viewers, VOD watchers, if you're still there, come back. We're looking at the leader again. Anywho, Garp. So let's talk about Garp as a card. So Garp is a red-black navy leader. He has 5k power, 5k power or life. Pretty standard for a dual leader. His ability is your turn. When this leader or one of your characters is given a Dawn card, give up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 7 or less -1 cost during this turn. So this is a great, I feel like this is such an underrated ability, because you know how a lot of people are like oozing over Lucci right now, the new Lucci. Lucci is when attacking, -1 cost one of your opponent's characters or something like that, something along those lines. This is doing it constantly. Every single time you attach a Dawn, it is reducing it by 1, by 1, by 1. You attach 3 Dawn to this guy, you reduce something to 3. If you played something like a Helmeppo against, like, I don't know, a Mihawk, a 9-drop Mihawk, you get the Mihawk down to 7, then this Garp can start pinging it. It's a really good leader. It's a really good black leader. In general, it's just a good black leader. And I'm a big fan of it. I didn't realize how much I was gonna like Garp until I started playing Garp. And I realized how his ability worked, where it's like, oh, you just keep minusing things to hell. You have 10 Dawn, you can minus 10 Dawn, whatever you feel like, and then KO it with like a different card. So that's the idea of the deck. It's a little more focused on Dawn minusing stuff. I think I should probably get more cards that KO based on cost. I have some good ones, and then there are some obvious additions like what you would expect, which we'll look at right now. So we're gonna look at the first 4 cards. The first 4 cards you probably know, being 1-drops, 1-drop 2Ks, Surus. A very standard card for a navy deck, for any black deck. I don't know if it's gone out of favor yet, but I like it in this deck. I think it works pretty well. It is a 1-drop 0K power, so sneeze on this thing and it blows away. 2K counter, that's a really valuable thing in this deck. What I love about this black deck is that it plays so different from Sakazuki, where Sakazuki only has good stuff in hand. Garp has a lot of 2K counters, has a lot of stuff to discard for counters, and that just fills up your graveyard so quick. So I'm a very big fan of the 2Ks. Like, I have so many 2Ks in this deck. It's really great. It's awesome. And then it's on playability. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. So, minusing 2 things, it's gonna help you remove stuff. So we're running 4, as you would expect. No reason not to run 4. Our next card, you love to hate him. It is brand new. Amazing. Look at that shiny bald head. This man was such a menace. You thought he was gone. You thought after Sakazuki you weren't gonna see him again, but no, he's back. It's cue ball. Can we get a good look at him? Yeah, there you go. I love this art of him. I love that they just did him dirty and gave him like a 10 head. Give him a cue ball of a head. Oh, that's funny. I feel for you, man. It's not easy. It's not easy looking that fly. But yeah, brand new. He's our searcher. He's the searcher for Navy, in black specifically. Something I didn't realize is actually I'm a very big fan of Navy in the One Piece game, which I never would have expected. You know, I have 2 Navy decks now, 1 blue-green and now 1 red-black. So kind of cool how that worked out. So anyways, brand new, 2 cost, 3K power, semi-relevant. It's okay. 1K counter. That can be helpful. And it is Navy on play. Look at the top 3 cards at the top of your deck. Reveal 1 Navy type card other than brand new. Then add it to your hand. Then trash the rest. So, not a typical searcher. You know, not normally what you want to do. Normal searchers, they're 1-drops. They search the top 5. You grab the card you want based on the type, and then you bottom deck the rest. However, this is trashing the rest. You're looking at 3, and then you're trashing 2 of them. And normally, obviously, if this wasn't black, this would be a horrible trade-off. However, because it's black, you kind of want to play with your graveyard. Black is the same as in Magic. You know, black wants to reanimate. Black in One Piece wants to reanimate and do target removal stuff. So I like it. I kind of understand it more now. So our next 2-drop also is a 2K counter, is Brook. Normally you would see Brook in a Garp list. It's not uncommon to see this Brook here, just because it attaches Dawn. So there he is. I don't even think this is the first time we've seen this Brook. I think we've seen the promo art one. I don't think we've seen the standard art one, not that I'm aware of. So anywho, what does this guy do? So he's a 2-drop 3K power, 2K counter. On play, give up to 2 Rested On cards to your leader or one of your characters. So obviously you play this guy on the field, you're giving 2 Rested On to Garp or someone else, and then Garp is going to be minusing 2 something. So great synergy in the list. Amazing card. I love this in the list. And obviously it's a 2K counter. You can dump it so quick. It doesn't even hurt to dump it. Our next 2K, or our next 2 cost, is our old school Helmepos. The starter deck 6, I believe these came from. And these have started to like gain traction. These started to get like relevant, which is shocking. Because I thought it was the Hinas that were gaining the traction. No, Helmepo is the sauce apparently. So Helmepo is a 2-drop 3K power, 1K counter. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. Pretty good. From my understanding, the reason why you play Helmepo over Hina is 1, it has counter, which is very big. That's important. Second reason is it's a 2-drop, so it can do reanimation shenanigans at 2-drop. And then its ability is fine. Minusing something by 3 is not a big deal. So we're running him at 3 or 4. We're running him at 4. Great card. Our next one's 3 drops. A little trickier to play, but they do work. Tashigi. Tashigi is another staple for Black Navy. If you're playing a Black Navy, or if you're playing a black deck, chances are you probably have this. Either this or the Surus. Anywho, Tashigi is a 3-cost 4k power, 2k counter. Activate main. You may rest this character. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2 costs during this turn. Pretty cool, because if it's a repeatable effect where, you know, if the stars align and your opponent doesn't blow this up immediately, you could maybe minus things a couple of times, at least 2 times. But yeah, but it's primarily a 2k counter. And then if you need to pop something, if you're trying to get rid of a character, you could probably sneak this out and get something. So we're running at 4. So I believe that's all of our 2k counters, I think. It might be. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because we've looked at all 12 counters, all 12 2ks. Our next card, a little bit of a blast from the past. When we did our box opening, we got a Brook. And we actually got 4 Brooks now. So, ta-da! Very happy to see Brook again. I was shocked to see Brook in the list, but then I realized, oh, this guy is good. You know what Brook reminds me of? Brook reminds me of a better version of Chaka, of the 3-cost Chaka, the 3-cost 6k Chaka from the VV deck. Obviously this is 1,000 times better. This is the power creep we're talking about in this game. Chaka from set 4 had so many restrictions put on him. He was terrible to run. You could only run him in the VV deck realistically. No, you can only run him in the VV deck. But his on-play, his abilities were so good. It was such a good card. This is essentially Chaka in black. And I love the design space of that. So I enjoy having it. Let me read it to you. It's a 3-cost 4k power, 1k counter. It's beautiful, beautiful numbers, great numbers for this deck. On play / when attacking, super important. I love that. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1 cost during this turn, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. Ooh. This is such a good card. This is so fun. I love playing this guy. Because what's even better is when you play Garp into Brook. Garp is gonna give Brook, like, you give him like what, like 2 or 3 Dawn. Then Garp is gonna activate -3 something. Then Brook is gonna minus it again, making it -4 cost, and then potentially KOing whatever you're hitting at. It's a great card. It's such a good card. I'm shocked that more people are starting to get on the bandwagon of Brook. But yeah, it's basically Chaka with no restrictions. This is Unchained Chaka in black. Awesome card, great card. I can't believe how good it is in this deck. It works so well. I love playing it. I played like, I think I played like 6 games with this Garp deck just to kind of get a hang of it, to understand how black works and to understand how Garp works as a leader. I've had about 6 games. I won 2. I think I won 2 games with this already. And I was every game felt awesome. Every game I played, even if I didn't win the game, it felt amazing playing this deck, playing this list in general. So next card is our Kitten Killer. 2 Kitten Killers, very out of nowhere. Almost feels like it's out of nowhere, but it actually works great in the deck. Kitten Killer was a relatively new card. I believe we actually pulled these 2 from the box opening. When we opened up the box, I think we got these 2 exactly, if I remember right. But Kitten Killer is a 4-cost 5k power, no counter. Sucks, but that's fine. It's not the end of the world. It has Rush, which is awesome. And then when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, this character gains plus 2k power during this turn. So obviously, awesome sneak attack endgame rusher. Super good. 4-cost 7k body at endgame. Those numbers are awesome to read, especially in this deck. You'll find out later why this is such a good like sneak attack. Very similar to like the Sanji. If you've seen the VV deck, you realize that Sanji is is a 4-cost 7k body as well, but that's a 2k counter technically. Well, it's technically a 4-cost 7k body that has a 2k counter. This is basically Sanji in a different deck without so many like hoops to jump through, which I like a lot in this list. I think running it at 2 is just the perfect number for this deck. The things that broke me, the 4 cards that made me like cringe at the price of this deck are sadly the Borsalinos. Oh my god, this card is so like so much money. Oh, this was painful. This was the hardest card to buy. These Borsalinos were the hardest ones to actually pick up because of how much they cost me. They're better. I'm gonna say that right now. They are better priced now than they have been in the past, but that's not saying a lot. That's really not saying a whole lot. I tried. You have no idea how hard I tried to find an alternative to Borsalino. In the Navy archetype in black, there are so few blockers that are as good as Borsalino. If you're gonna have one blocker, make the blocker good at least. So I took the hit. I swallowed the pill. I'm black pilled now, and I got my Borsalinos. Borsalino, let me go ahead and read it to you guys. Actually, let me show you, because I went through that freaking effort to buy in the stupid card. Might as well just show you what it looks like. Great card. It looks awesome. It's fantastic. It's a great card. No reason not to run it. I promise you, it's probably going to get reprinted in the near future. In fact, I'm not betting money on it, but if I was a betting man, I would bet money on it that he's going to get reprinted again. And then he's going to be like a $5 card, and then I'm going to cry. And then I'm just going to like, just jump off a bridge or something. I'm not going to do that for like, over the money I lost. That's silly. I'm just being silly. Anyways, Borsalino is a 4-cost 5k body, 1k counter. Sometimes I forget he has counter because his text kind of overlays with his cape. He's a blocker, of course, and then his opponent's turn. So on the opponent's turn, this character gains plus 1k power and cannot be KO'd by effects. Not really relevant. It's what's nice is that you get like a vanilla stats with the 1k counter. The KO by effects is like, sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. It's not a major big deal, especially with it being like a 4-cost. Things like well, whatchamacallit, Law. Well, Law has a hard time removing a 6k body, but Law can bottom deck it. Other people can rest it. Like, it isn't the safest blocker in the game, but it is a pretty good blocker. For the archetype, for a searchable blocker, it's a decent one. I like it. So I'm happy I got mine. I'm gonna be very sad when it gets reprinted. That's all I'll say about that. Oh yeah, that's right. I do have another blocker in this deck. Actually, a blocker you probably would expect to see in the list is Rebecca. Sometimes you forget that Rebecca's a blocker, but let's get a good look at her. But she is a blocker, and she's a damn good blocker because she has value. She comes out with value. I've really enjoyed black because of this card and another card. So this Rebecca is a 4-cost 0k body. Kind of sucks. not a great blocker, but it is technically a blocker. It'll take a hit for you easily. It has 1k counter, which is always nice as blocker. And then its on play ability is add up to 1 black character with the cost of 3 to 7. So from a range of 3 to 7, other than Rebecca, from your trash to your hand, then play up to 1 black character with the cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. So really cool. It can grab the majority of your deck. So there's only a handful of things you won't be able to grab with this. Like, there are some 8 drops you can't grab with this. There are some 2 drops and 1 drops you can't grab with this. However, 3 drops that obviously you're gonna grab, like your Tashigi, you're gonna grab your Brooks. I think that's it. Well, and then of course, you know, from there up you can grab stuff, but things that you can play rested are Tashigi and Brook. Ideally, you want to grab Brook and pray that he doesn't get removed immediately. But yeah, I've enjoyed playing Rebecca. A lot of times I forget she's a blocker. because she has such a good on playability, I forget she's a blocker. But it's always handy because occasionally you remember and then you're like, ooh, I could save myself one life point if I use this card. So our next one. Oh, actually, no, I lied. We have another 2K counter. I completely forgot about T-Bone, our poor man. Boy, pour one out for our man T-Bone, our homie T-Bone, man. My dude went out in a blaze of glory, I would assume. My boy went out the way he wanted to go out, man. He's unfortunately, T-Bone is no longer with us. It's very sad. But T-Bone was literally, T-Bone is what the Navy should be, you know, is selfless, chivalrous, you know, to a fault. Probably the most humble man out there, the most giving Navy admiral. I believe he was a vice admiral? I think at the end of the time skip, during the time skip when we see T-Bone again, he is a vice admiral, I believe, because during Water 7, I believe he was a rear admiral or captain. So he's no joke. The guy's no joke. He's tough shit. It's just very unfortunate that we no longer have him in the story anymore. I don't know what they would have done with him, but would have been cool to see him do more stuff. But yeah, there's T-Bone. T-Bone's actually an amazing 2K counter that you actively play a lot of the time, because other than Brook, T-Bone is your other removal spell in the deck, which I would like more, but I think I have a good number of them. Being able to grab these out of the grave and then grab the Brooks out of the grave, I think I'm okay. So T-Bone is a 5 cost, 5k body, 2k counter. It is on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 2 or less. So a much wider range. Like it's much easier to get things to 2 cost than it is to get them to 0 cost. Obviously it's a one-time deal though. As soon as you play them, you better have something to remove, otherwise you're screwed. So I like them. We pulled a bunch of these, I believe, in I believe we pulled up I think we pulled our playset in the boxes, if I remember right. Vague memories, but I think we this was one of the cards I already had, so very happy to see him in the list. And another card, our next one, Sakazuki. Dun, dun, dun. In fact, 2 Sakazukis. I have 2 Sakazukis in the deck. Obviously not the leader Sakazuki, but the black cards. And one of them is an alt, because, you know, that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes you get stuck with alts at certain times and they end up being cheap. So you'll bite the bullet, buy them for $6, and then you don't think about it again. And then obviously regular Sakazuki. This is what you're probably normally going to see. Probably won't see this guy very often, but let's go ahead and look at him. Let's look at the alt actually, because you're probably sick of looking at the other one if you've seen the other one. There he is. The boy lost to time. Lost into the void, into the band. Anyways, this Sakazuki, the non-banned Sakazuki, is a 6 cost 7k body, no counter. One of the reasons why he's realistically at 2. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Not a big deal here. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 5 or less. Good range of removal. Like, you'll be able to hit a lot of stuff. Obviously, once you start attaching Dawn, then you start swinging, then you start removing stuff, and it's like a whole big deal. It's amazing. Sakazuki's actually pretty good in this list. I'm not going to run it past 2. I might end up upgrading this one to an alt, but realistically, I'm pretty happy with the 2 I have. Just because I might upgrade it, I might up it, because I don't see enough removal in the deck. So this might go to 2 or 3. But yeah, that's the plan. I don't feel like I need to though, just because like Brook is such a good like repeatable removal and recurable removal that I feel like I can kind of like pull back from the removal spells, because Brook does such a good job removing stuff. So our next card is, as you can tell, my voice is like is struggling today. It doesn't help after going to the dentist trying to talk for an hour. So as a heads up, this is probably going to be a very short stream. I think after the deck tech, I'll talk a little bit more and then we'll probably wrap it up because my voice is hoarse. I can feel it. My voice does not like talking right now. But our next card is our 3 Ishos. Isho is a card that is slowly coming back into relevance. We got these when they were dirt cheap. These were maybe like $2 or $3, and I'm so happy we picked them up when we did because they're good. It's a good hand check and good cost reduction. I'll explain why. It's also just a good body. You know, 8, 9. Those are big numbers. In case you didn't know. But I'll go ahead and read it. I think we just looked at it, didn't we? Yeah, we did. I remember doing that. Okay, so 8 costs, 9k body, no counter, that's fine. You attach 1 Dawn, your turn, give all your opponent's characters -3 costs. So it's a board wipe, well, not board wipe, but it's a mass cost reducer just by attaching a Dawn. And what's nice is that when you're attaching a Dawn, you're gonna minus something else by an extra 1, by another -1. So realistically, you're minusing all your opponent's characters by 3, and then you're gonna minus 1 extra card by 1, thanks to good old Garp here. And let's see, and that's your turn. So throughout the whole turn, that's not just like a one-time deal. Like throughout your whole turn, they're just at -3 constantly. And then it's on playability, which is the only reason why it's on playability. Is the only reason why I keep it at 3. And also because it has like no counter, that's another reason why I keep it at 3. But its on playability is if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 from your opponent's hand. So it's a good way to keep your opponent's hand in check. It reduces it to 4, I believe 4. Yeah, 4. So you're immediately pulling 2 cards from the hand. You're putting them on a very, very large back foot. Like you've just they went from like a good hand size to all of a sudden they are falling behind in hand size. And if you're lucky, you'll pull 2 good cards out of their hands. But that's the idea. I very rarely get to actually do the on playability. A lot of times I just need a body on the field, and sometimes I miss with the on playability. However, the attaching 1 Dawn thing, like the minusing 3 everything, that's a very relevant ability. That alone is enough to keep this relevant, to justify playing it on curve. But a lot of times I'll try to hold on to it just to see if maybe I can catch my opponents slacking. And then, of course, you know, big drum roll, our boy, the man of the hour, everyone, the guest of honor, the guy you expected to see in the list, Gecko Moria. Come on down, Gecko Moria, you big bitch. I'm running Gecko Moria at 3. Honestly, I want to run it at 4, but it's mostly because of self-restraint. I'm also because of deck size. Like the deck is squeezing, is just barely squeezed with the amount of cards in this list. And running it at 3 is a very humbling thing. Like every fiber of my body wants to run 4, but running it at 3 puts you in check. I feel like running it at less than 4 kind of makes it a slight smidgen more fair. So I'm okay with running it at 3. Running it at 2, I can do it, but I don't want to do it. Honestly, it's mostly because this card is very bannable. Like I'm of a very strong belief that if the card is not self-regulated, it will get banned. And I want to lead by example. So I am choosing to, as well as, you know, Vivi's deck list. Vivi's deck list for this was running 3 as well. I want to show a little bit of restraint as well, and only run 3 in the deck. Maybe 2 in the future, but realistically, I want to run 3 and show a tiny bit of restraint, and not just immediately jam 4 of these in the deck for no reason. But yeah, Gecko Moria, an amazing card. No reason not to run it in your black decks. I see that now. I've learned my ways. So Gekomori, let's actually read the card. So it's an 8 cost, 9k body, and it is a on play. Choose up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less, and up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. Play 1 card and play the other card rested. Reads a little weird, but the idea is you're playing 2 cards. You're playing 1 4 cost or less, and then you're playing 1 2 cost or less. One is coming in untapped, the other one's coming in tapped. As you can tell, this deck has a ton of 2 cost that it's more than happy to play, and then it also has a ton of 4 costs that it is more than happy to play. And even like a Brook is fine to play off of Gekomori. Encouraged even. So I like Gekomori in this list. He's good. He's great. I'm glad that he's in here. I recommend showing some restraint and maybe reducing it from 4 to 3 if you have a Gekomori in your black deck. Because yeah, this is very much a bannable card. I've known that for a while. Just because it goes into every single deck that has black in it. There are no restrictions to it. And then the last 4 cards. The last 4 cards are 4 events, the same event, 1 drops. Ice Age. Ice Age, obviously, the second best black event out there right now. Obviously, the first one being, what is it, Meteor Punch? Something like that. It's one of Sakazuki's special attacks. It's better. It's literally a better version of this. I think the Meteor Eruption, I think it's a 1-drop that draws a card and then reduces a character's cost by 3. Whereas Ice Age is a 1-drop, and then it is give up to one of your opponent's character -5 during this turn. Obviously, you're getting a bigger range, but you're not getting that card draw, which is fine. Not the end of the world. Oh God, help me. I'm dying here. I'm fine. And then the trigger. It's K up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. If you trigger, actually, I don't mind triggering this off of life once in a while. I think because I've had this card sit in my hand dead a lot. I might end up cutting 2 of them just to put in some 0 cost events like the Bad Manners Kick. But I don't think it's super necessary. I think running it at 4 is fine because you always run the chance of getting a trigger off of it and, you know, just randomly destroying one of your opponent's 3 drops or 1 drop, whatever. And then like, obviously for the big swings, you're really saving this for the big swings. Like, oh, you want to remove something, like you play a Ice Age and then you play your Brook, and all of a sudden you got rid of a 6-drop for free, essentially. So that's why I like it. The potential, the potential cost is so good that I think running it at 4 makes sense. You know, up to you. I would also probably my biggest issue with black decks is that they never run enough counter events, but it's kind of understandable considering that a lot of black decks play stuff from the grave. So I kind of get it. I kind of understand why they don't play counter events, because counter events, you can't bring counter events back from the grave. Characters you can bring back from the grave in black very easily, just not events, which is more of like a blue thing. Well, specifically a crocodile thing. I think that is, what is it? Blue purple crocodile does something along that line, something like that. Anywho, that's the deck. In case you know, in case it wasn't super obvious, where we're done with the deck. That's the deck tech. I'm really happy with the deck. I'm ecstatic that this deck is basically a 1-to-1 to what Vivi made. Obviously, you know, with a different leader. So I believe with his deck, with the Z deck, he had, instead of the Brooks, obviously it's purple, so instead of Brooks he had X-Drake, the 2k counter X-Drake, and instead of the Kid and Killer he had the 7-drop Z, the one that gets rid of opponent's effects, which with that new red Sanji is actually relevant. You know, that card is going to be relevant with that new red Sanji, because in case if you're not keeping up with the One Piece news, there's a new Sanji leader. It's mono red, and it gives rush to characters without on-play abilities, which you think is kind of weird, but there are a surprising amount of cards that are just busted that are busted without on-play abilities. So all of a sudden, all these like crazy deck lists that look very jank became very viable. And I believe the best counter to that deck to Sanji is going to be that 7-drop Z. So I think that 7-drop Z is going to start seeing play again, or is going to see play. Obviously I didn't build a Z deck just because I didn't have the majority of those cards. I had a ton of cards for this Garp deck already sitting in my bulk. So thankfully, because I've been doing openings, I've had a lot of these cards just sitting around. I've been doing the pack openings and all that cool stuff. And now I'm doing box openings, which I'm very happy about. I'm hoping by next week, I'll be able to go to one of my LGSs and buy a box again, buy another box of OPO7. I see that people are starting to get OPO7, like pre-releases happening. People are able to, some people are able to buy boxes. Obviously not everybody's able to buy a box, but it's very cool. I'm gonna wait until release date to open up a box. You know, I'm very much like the average Joe. I'm not interested. I'm trying not to be overly committed to this card game. However, as you can tell, I literally bought an entire fucking deck like a day or two ago out of excitement and joy, because I was very happy that Vivi made a deck tech based off like one of my suggestions, and that was very cool to see. So yeah, this deck is sort of like a way to commemorate that. Like when I see this deck list, I'm gonna think about like, you know, that video that Vivi made of like the Z deck, where, you know, and obviously the Discord discussion we had, like I'll think about that. Like, oh yeah, I remember, you know, I posted my thing, he started talking to me about it, and he started to brew, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude. And he's a great black player. Obviously he's a great player in general. After doing a couple of simulator plays, like after playing on the simulator for a handful of times for a while now, I can definitely tell when people are just good at the game. It's because it's hard. Like sometimes, like they're like, honestly, I feel like people kind of like downplay how good some of the simulator players are. Some of the guys on the simulator, like a lot of them are really just good players. And I think sometimes they get a bad rap because they can be tough. They know what they're doing. They know their shit. And I think some just content creators are just a lot better at the game than we give them credit for. Like I'll definitely say like Vivi, he's a good player. He managed, like where I managed to go like 0-5, Vivi went 5-0 with Z, and it's insane. It's insane to think about. So anyways, whoa, there's the deck. I'm very excited. I'm very happy with it. I don't think I'm going to change the deck. In fact, I don't think the deck needs to be changed for a very long time. Like we're talking about like potentially, I can probably touch it when we get into OPO 8. When we get into OPO 8, maybe I can start making some changes to this deck. But realistically, the way this deck is built, like the theming of Navy, Black Navy, I think I'll probably won't have to upgrade this deck for a very long time, or at all even. The only cards that could really get changed are things like maybe Brook. Brook is really good in the list. And then obviously like the where'd you go? Where'd you go, Kid and Killer? There you are. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I didn't talk about one of the combos, but obviously one of the best combos in the deck is playing a Gecko Moria and then playing a Brook and a Kid and Killer, and then all of a sudden you not only minusing things, you're turning your Kid and Killer from a 7k 7-8 to 9k body with Gecko Moria. So that's 2 9k bodies that your opponent now has to deal with. It's insane. It's so good. It's so good. This deck is so much fun. It's so fun to pull off that little combo, that little neat trick, that little combat trick. It's so much fun. So I really like Garp. I really like Z. I like both. And I finally have a black deck. I probably won't be upgrading this black deck for a very long time, which is why I was okay with buying these little bastards. Because I'm like, well, if I get the good stuff now, I don't have to worry about it for the future. Try to put it back without destroying everything. There we go. But yeah, there's the list. If future editions of this list are probably just going to be, why does this one look weird? I think that's because it's the okay, don't mind me. I think it's because it's the it has like special foiling. It looks slightly different in there. That's something interesting to learn. That's something I didn't know, that alts look slightly different in sleeves, which I guess kind of makes sense. Anywho, that's the list, that's the video, that's the stream actually. I've yapped off your ear long enough and my voice hurts. It hurts to talk. My throat is really dry. I've been trying to like drink water. I've been like a fish. Honestly, I feel like a fish right now with how much water I have to drink. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, guys, before I do irreversible damage to my voice. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for hanging out, whether you're watching live or you're watching the VOD later on. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the deck. Garp, very fun leader. He's definitely like a rogue deck. I think he plays, if you're interested, he's probably going to play very similar to Lucci. So if you want to bring something that isn't Lucci to your locals, I would recommend Garp. He's pretty viable. The only downside is that you're running with one less life. However, you're getting access to red. Red has a lot of really good cards, and a lot of cards that combo extremely well with Gecko Moria, which you would be surprised how much stuff combos with Gecko Moria, and not with Rebecca. Rebecca only does black cards. That's the only reason why Rebecca's at 4, because she only deals with black cards. Gecko Moria doesn't care what color it is, which is what's amazing about that card. Oh man. But yeah, I like black. Black is a good color. I like black. I'm not going to be upgrading this deck for a very long time. I'll probably keep it like this, just because like it's kind of like the VV deck. It's the VV deck I sort of, you know, what is it, like domino effect into existence. So I was very grateful, you know. Again, I don't think he's gonna watch this, but if VV is watching this, you know, thank you for making the Z deck. Thank you for improving the list that, you know, I initially threw out there. I know you've been playing VV, or you've been playing Z for a while, so I'm not surprised that you were able to throw something a lot better together much quicker than me. But I enjoy it, and this deck is kind of like just a tribute to that deck list you made, and to that little interaction we had. So thank you, and thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here, and until next time, goodbye. I'm not gonna do a lot of goodbyes because my throat hurts. Oh, bye.